everyone, I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson on the Dingo and Coach podcast on This Week in Anderson. And as always, I'm joined with my co-host, which is the coach, Steve Ellis. And Steve, really cool, our guest tonight. You know, we've kind of gone away, not gone away, but we typically have people that have graduated from either Anderson, Turpin, McNick, whatever. And then this is our first one that's actually still in high school, which is kind of cool. And then, we've obviously been around her dad, Tom, for a really, really long time. Great friends in high school, and his daughter, Jamie's here to tell us about her great story. So it's going to be great catching up, and not only for me and you to learn about a sport that we don't really know a lot about, and for her to tell us about this story.
Well, first of all, it's good to be back. Good to see you again.
Absolutely, too, buddy.
It's been a while.
Too long.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we've done one.
We haven't done this this year yet. It's the first one.
But this is a really cool one to have with Jamie Benassi here, because when we interview people, it's usually about their accomplishments, if I can say that right, over the course of their life, and let alone high school and their post high school career. We're talking about somebody that's still in high school and has done more than most people will do in their lifetime. So just to measure what her heart and toughness is, I can't wait to talk to her and ask her some questions.
And we'll get into it here a little bit later, but I got to go watch her play last Saturday or two Saturdays ago. It is phenomenal. We'll get into that a little. There's that word. We'll get into that a little bit later. So as we said, joining us is Jamie Benassi. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
So we always kind of start this off by let everybody know where you go to school, and talk about middle school, talk about all that. So to kind of let everybody know where you live.
Okay, so I live in Newtown. I went to Nagel Middle School, and now I am a senior at Turpin High School, and I also go to Live Oaks for their health technology program.
That's awesome. So your day is pretty much split up, obviously, when you do that. Half a day at Turpin, half a day at Live Oaks. Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about Nagel. But how was your experience at Nagel?
Nagel was just interesting.
Because you always hear like one way or the other. Right. People like love it or they hate it.
Yeah, it was definitely not my place. Turpin, I love Turpin.
Okay, good.
By far the best school I've ever been to, but...
Okay.
Well, we'll argue about that later. We always have a battle about the Anderson-Turpin thing.
Okay, next subject.
So we got that. So I know basically since, obviously I've known you since you were a little girl and when you were born, and know that you were diagnosed with, and hopefully I can say this right, I'll probably mess this up. Is it Caudal? Is
Caudal.
Caudal. It's Caudal regression syndrome. And they also told you that, told your parents that you would probably never walk. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about what that is, and so everybody, because I'm not real sure exactly what it is, so let everybody know what that is.
Yeah, so caudal regression is very vague when it comes to what people have. For me, I'm missing, L4 in my spine is misshapen, and then everything else below that is just gone.
Oh, wow.
So that's why they didn't expect me to walk. I'm missing part of my spine and everything else. And I know some of them are in wheelchairs, some walk with a walker. It just depends on your disability. My hips were also dislocated. They still are. They never went in to fix that. And they basically form their own do So it affects my gait and how I move and go about my day, my growth, but do your hips hurt a lot? When you walk, or does it? As I'm getting older, my endurance, with walking, is getting lower. So, if I'm doing something long distance, I prefer a wheelchair. Yeah. So I have one of my own. So, a Cyclones game, I would much rather be in a wheelchair just because I can move easier and quicker. But I'm fine with walking as well. So
what about school, though? Is it hard for you at school with changing classes and all that, or is it not that bad because you're walking a little bit and then you're sitting? How does that affect you?
School's usually fine. I can always use the elevator if I needed to instead of the stairs, but ever since freshman year, I've been fine with moving around and getting around. So.
Well, I'm sure as you've grown, in your short life so far, that you've had some challenges. And and just knowing what little I do know of you, unfortunately knowing your dad, you've overcome a lot of these challenges and being able to conquer a lot of this stuff. How have you been able to do some of this stuff?
My independence is something that sets me apart from other people. I had so many surgeries when I was younger, was in pain a lot, and I was always kind of in charge of myself. I never let other people take over and take control. So honestly, I think that's what has gotten me to this point, is just being independent and doing my own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, not at all.
Yeah. All right. So one of the reasons why we brought you here is not just because you're a great person and we know your dad, but you have got into something special that we want you to tell us, inform us, and inform everybody that's going to watch this. How you got into sled hockey, and how that became a love of yours, and obviously you've conquered it and done so well. So how did it all come about? And how did you first of all, talk about what is sled hockey?
So sled hockey is a sport for physically challenged or disabled athletes. So people who can't skate on normal skates, they can't use their legs to move on ice. So instead we sit in like a bucket seat type looking thing, and our legs, some people don't have legs, but for me, my legs are out in front of me, and then there's 2 blades under my bucket that we skate around on, and we use our arms rather than our legs to move.
Okay.
But sled hockey is the exact same as hockey. It's same rules, same hits, everything.
Okay.
The only difference is the one penalty that it's called T-boning. So if you hit someone and they're horizontal and you're going at them, that's a T-bone, that'd be a penalty. That's literally the only thing that sets sled hockey apart from hockey.
So how did you get into this?
A family friend of my grandparents, they went to their church, and their son was the Icebreakers, Cincinnati Icebreakers goalie.
Okay.
And they told my grandparents that I should come out and try it. And at first I was like, okay, no, hockey. I thought hockey was stupid. We were just not hockey people at all.
So what age was this?
I was 12. 12? I believe, yes, when I started.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was completely against it, and then I was convinced to at least go watch a practice.
Yeah.
So we go out there, and Renee Lawspring, she is the founder. She runs the Cincinnati Icebreakers sled hockey team. I got there, and she had all equipment laying out for me, put me in my stuff, and put me on the ice.
Oh, wow. We're just going to throw you out there.
Yeah, I didn't really, I just kind of went for it. And when I got off the ice, I remember telling my dad that I had found my sport, and I was out of practice after that. So
that is pretty cool.
So where do they practice and where do they play?
We practice at Sports Plus in Evendale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into that equipment thing real quick, because I was fascinated when I went and watched you play. That first of all, you said you sat on a sled, right? Or this bucket or whatever you called it. Are they all the same size, or are they different depending on the person because of their size, right?
It depends on the person, yeah. And you always, so when you first start out, you just use a bucket that they give you, see if it's your thing. So I think, maybe 2 or 3 years into me playing sled hockey, I got a bucket that fits me like a glove.
Right.
And that's what you want. You want it to be as tight as possible because you want it to be a part of you.
Okay.
That way moving, turning, all of that is way easier, and it's going to be smoother for you. So the buckets depend. Your sticks are different sizes than others.
Why is that?
Height. You want your arms to be kind of at shoulder height when they're at the top of the stick. Okay. So it just depends on how big you are.
Well, tell them about that, because Steve, this was really fascinating with me when I was watching the stick. Tell Steve and everybody out there what the stick is, what it does, because it's a huge part of sled hockey.
Yeah, so it's a basic hockey stick, but they're a lot smaller, obviously, since we're sitting, and we use 2 sticks rather than 1. And when we're there's ice picks on the bottom of the sticks that dig into the ice so we can propel ourselves. Oh, yeah. So when we're in our sled, we hold our hands at the top of the stick, so the blade of the stick, and we propel ourselves like that. Wow. And then if you have a puck, say you're catching a pass, you're going to move your hand to the bottom of the stick, and you kind of open up your arms so the blade is flat on the ice. Okay. So that's how you catch a pass. You have to
I would lose the stick. Wow. there's no way that I could do that with this. Number one, trying to.
Well, this has probably got you stronger, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a lot of upper body strength.
So were you dying that first time that you did it? You were like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I had no idea what I was doing either.
All right. So what position do you play?
For the Cincinnati Icebreakers, I'm typically defense. They kind of move me around. It just depends on the players we have. When I first started, we had very few players, so it was hard to get a team to travel with us to tournaments.
Okay.
But now we have at least 14 adults that'll travel with us. So we've grown a lot. So we have more people who can play different positions.
Okay.
But I kind of move around from defense to forward. It really just depends.
So how many are on the ice?
At a time?
Yeah.
There are 5 at a time.
And so was that like
six at a time. Sorry.
6? Is that including the goalie?
Yes,
okay.
Including the goalie.
So what do you have, like 2 up front?
So you have your center and your 2 wings, wingers, and then you have your 2
defensive,
and then your goalie.
And defense is mainly what you play?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the Icebreakers. For the Icebreakers,
yes.
We'll get into what because I think she's different on USA Hockey.
Yeah.
So
that's an earned sweatshirt, by the way. You couldn't get
no,
that.
heck no. Well, she'll give me one.
No, she will not.
I'll get one from her.
No way, you got to earn it.
No, she'll give me one. Hey, I'm pizza, right?
Exactly.
What are you, Little Caesars?
Well, that's what. So when I used to when I would come over and watch basketball, and Tom and I don't know, we were watching TV one time, and that commercial Pizza came on. I kept going pizza. Well, then she wouldn't call me Dan.
Yeah.
She called me Pizza. So that was my name for a while. It's
probably nicer than
some of the other things I've been called, right?
Could have been Bud Light or something like that.
That's true. Good point.
What else you got there, Danny?
I thought that was you still.
No, you're still talking.
All right, so let's talk about during the summer of 2021. Okay, you played in a really large tourney in Minnesota. You played with Central Illinois Thunder, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then obviously, from what your dad said, and from what that was the best hockey that you've played.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so, what is at the point that? When you played that, did you know that, hey, I think I'm ready to try out for the women's? Did you? Is that what? Did you?
Yes. Yeah. COVID. So when COVID hit in 2020, the Cincinnati Icebreakers basically shut down. There was no practice. But I needed to practice if I ever wanted to make a U.S. national team. So I got in contact with a coach. His name's Dwayne Weber. He's the coach of the Indy Steel up in Indianapolis, and so he invited me out to a practice, and I went every Saturday from there on to practice with their team, and that's when I really noticed a difference. And from there, that's when I started reaching out to other coaches. I'd let them know, like, if you're down a player, like, invite me. If I can be there, I'll be there.
Love it.
So that's kind of what also sets me apart a little bit, is just because I have so many connections, and I was able to learn from so many different people and play at different levels. And then when I went to Minnesota, when I played with Thunder, I was like, okay, I think I can try out.
Yeah.
Yes, we were playing higher levels than I was ever used to, and I felt pretty confident, so yeah.
So, I mean, is that one of the reasons why you were asking some of these other teams to play or be on their team is because there's just not a lot going on with the Icebreakers, right? I mean, besides the COVID, right?
Right.
So if you don't play with the Icebreakers, and explain how that works, because if you don't play with the Icebreakers, do you have to get, like, released from the Icebreakers to go play with Indianapolis or whoever?
So you have to get wavered onto a team through USA Hockey, so they basically approve you to play on a different team. It's kind of a mess right now,
right?
So I don't necessarily know everything,
right?
But back in 2020, they were super lenient with whoever I played with, so that's kind of...
Oh, for you, since you're on USA Hockey now, right? Is that what they do? Or, I mean, is it... I guess I'm confused. I mean, so with being with USA Hockey, do they tell you, hey, you can't play, or hey, you can't do this, or hey, you can't do that? They don't do that, right?
Not necessarily, but they also, like, they're behind all of our sled hockey teams, like our clubs and everything. So even if I'm on the Icebreakers and I say, hey, I want to go play with Indy this weekend, I would have to get approved by USA Hockey to go play with Indy Steel.
How about that?
That is crazy.
So let me ask you this. So if I understand this right, you have been playing with other hockey players that are basically somewhat close to your age, and now you're playing with with
guys like us?
guys?
Yeah, we play all different age range.
Holy cow! Really?
Yeah. The Cincinnati Icebreakers, we range from like 5 to 70. You just play until you can't.
Can you believe that?
Okay.
A 70-year-old guy was out there playing.
That's great.
We're like separated from novice, junior, and adult.
Okay.
And junior and adult is kind of like difficult because if you're a junior but you're super duper good, like you can move up to an adult team. But it kind of just depends. But yeah, our age ranges on the women's team, it's 15 to, I would say, 50 maybe max.
Really?
Yeah, it's 40, 50.
And so how long have those players been playing?
It depends, but I know the captain, Erica, she has been playing for 20 plus years. So she was one of the first women. She was the first woman to play play sled hockey and try to like get it going. Her and Kelsey, they're still on our team. They're the captains. They're awesome. And I know back then it was kind of hard for them because it was just them. So there was no women's team. It was always you're around men all the time, which is whatever. Yeah. But they were so good, but they just couldn't get anywhere. Okay. So the men can go to the Paralympics and compete. They win all the time. And then you have these two ladies that can't really get anywhere. So they'd try out every year for the men's team. And oh my gosh. Yeah, they were told that if they were men, they would have made the team. So they had the skill, but it's just because they were women, they couldn't make it. Okay. Which makes sense. Right. But it was also such a struggle to get it started and get girls to play hockey, sled hockey to begin with. But
well, it sounds like it's hitting the ground running here a little bit, and you're going to be a big part of that.
Yes, definitely.
But the fact that you're playing with other players that have been playing for 20 plus years is all right. So, is there a difference? Like you talked a little bit about the T-boning, which is kind of like part of almost like checking. Is that right? Yeah. Is that a difference between the middle league or whatever what you said as opposed to the adult league?
The junior and adult, junior is typically non-checking. You can't check. I mean, you can still run into someone, but you can't be like putting your shoulder into someone.
Is it mainly a shoulder, or can you use your sticks?
Oh, it's
you can literally do anything.
Even with those little spikes on the stick.
Yeah, because those are more by your hand, by your body. You're typically using the top of your sticks. Wow. Or trying to do something.
And there's one thing that I wanted to bring up too is when I went there, and there was they were hitting pretty hard, Steve. They were checking pretty hard. So talk a little bit about that real quick before Steve gets his next question about the when you get hit and you fall because you're strapped into your sled, right? How is that hard to get up? I mean, if because I noticed one time you were on your side and you've got to try because I'm sure that sled's pretty heavy. So is that difficult to get back up?
Yeah, it took a while to learn how. Once you kind of learn how to do it, you eventually start to it just becomes habit. Yeah. But there's some that still need help getting up, and then some that just fall over and pop right back up and go. So it really just depends, but it's not easy. Not easy.
Well, I did see a little bit of your dad in you, the little competitive fire that she had going in that. In that. Oh yeah,
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
She was getting a little. She was getting a little riled up there when a couple people were hitting her.
So you said the bucket that you sit, the seat. I mean, is that something you bring? Is that yours, or is it all part of the sled?
So when you start like sled hockey, you're usually provided with the equipment. Right. So like the organization will have it for you. If it's something you want to stick with and you want to work at, then you can apply for like grants to get your own, or you can just buy your own sled. Okay. But they're usually like $700 to $1,000 for one.
Not cheap.
So I ended up getting a grant that got me my own sled. And
really?
Yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Is that the same with sticks, helmet, all that stuff too? Is kind of part of that grant? It like throws everything.
So that's your own.
It can be. You can get so many different grants for like you can apply for a travel grant or equipment. Yeah. It's just whatever you need, you can apply for it.
Here's my big question: Can you get sponsored? Can you be like, say,
the NIL?
the Dingo and Coach podcast want to sponsor Jamie Benassi as representing Team USA? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
You can get sponsors from anywhere.
But will you wear a dingo and the coach logo right here on your shirt?
You think she's a race car driver?
I think that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to ask you, because it kind of comes to a lot of athletes when you get to this point. When was that moment that you kind of touched on it, but when was that moment you're like, yes, this is what I love, and I think I could be pretty good at this?
I feel like after I knew it was my sport the first time I went out there, but obviously I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
Hockey. Wasn't a fan of hockey, thought it was stupid. And then I would say after like a year or two, when I started getting older, I was like, okay, wait, like I could be good. I realized that there was a women's team out there.
Yeah.
There were places for me to go from there, so then I kind of started wanting to try and do well. So
yeah.
I think that's kind of when it was just age. I was so young when I like started. And when I realized I could go places with it, then I was like, oh man.
So that's gotta be kind of cool, though. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's not close, for the other teams, but you get to travel a little bit and see some of these other cities. And
yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of it, is traveling.
Oh yeah, by the way, we gotta play some hockey too.
Yeah.
What else you got there, Danny?
Steve, you're kind of going off kilter, but that's okay. We'll just.
I usually go off kilter
I know
a little bit.
You're kind of off.
You take my questions and then I just kind of move on.
I didn't take your question, but that's okay.
That's all right.
We'll go. So let's go to talk a little bit about Team USA and the World Challenge in Green Bay. I believe that you guys and you didn't bring it, which I'm really, really disappointed.
I've seen pictures.
You won the gold medal.
Yes.
And listen to this. This is even better. Player of the game against Great Britain with 1 goal and 2 assists. So talk a little bit about number one, playing Team USA. I know you didn't want to go to Green Bay. You wanted to go to somewhere that was bigger and better. I know that. But talk a little bit about playing for Team USA and how cool that was.
Oh, it was crazy. It didn't even feel like real life at all. I mean, one, got me out of school for a week. Gotta add that in.
Priorities.
Yes.
The whole priority.
I love it.
The other, I don't know. It's just I've made so many friends, and they're basically my family now. I mean, we are always together when we're there, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, we showed up. It was like USA flags everywhere. I mean, you had all the flags from everywhere. Whoever was going to be there. It was just so like hyped up. The Instagram was like going crazy over it. Facebook, our locker room was like our managers decked it all out. It was just so cool.
Was it crowded? Was there a lot of people there?
Our first game against Canada was really crowded. It was a Friday night, but. Yeah, there were still people in the stands, which we usually don't have. So that was very weird.
So did those type of games have a different vibe to it than
the icebreakers?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different level.
Yeah.
So I feel like that also is part of it. And we're all women. That makes a big difference. Cincinnati Icebreakers is co-ed.
Yeah.
Most club teams are co-ed. They're not like strictly men and women.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a whole different vibe. I mean, we're out there playing like genuine hockey. Like you need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Did they have that on like a streaming or anything like that? Was that you could watch it later?
Yeah, they were streaming on Facebook and YouTube as far as I know. Yeah. That
is cool. So did you get interviewed since you were player of the game? Did you get interviewed?
I did get interviewed after the Great Britain games. So
that's awesome.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was crazy too. I got off the ice and they're like, Jamie, interview now. And I was like,
what?
Oh no. Like, this is bad.
But you were ready. You're doing great right now.
That's awesome.
That is great.
So let me ask you this question that's not on here is because he didn't put it on here.
Yeah. Here we go.
I mean, what would you consider the future for you with hockey?
Continue playing on the women's team, kind of get other women involved, get them growing in the game. Obviously want to make it to the Paralympics one day, so they're telling us 2030 will be our year.
Really?
Okay.
So they keep pushing it back.
Yeah.
But 2030 seems pretty legit now because the World Challenge that we had over the summer, that was like the first step to getting us to the Paralympics.
Yeah,
it was actually like official. They've had other World Challenges before, but it wasn't necessarily sanctioned by World Para Ice Hockey.
And this one was?
Yeah, this one.
That's great. Yeah.
Well, and one of the biggest challenges that they face is a lot of the countries don't have enough women to participate in these, and that's why it's been slower, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
The other teams they're definitely growing. I mean, Great Britain had only been playing for, I believe it was 8 months to a year when they came to this World Challenge, so they brand new team.
Wow.
But they practice all the time. You had people from the world team, so that was combined. So people from countries that don't have a full team would come together and play on that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's crazy. There's definitely teams out there. We just have to get them competitive.
Okay. All right. So you're going to stick with it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Right?
So, that's good.
So
that's good.
So, all right. So let's talk college. So any thoughts on college or combining the two, or how's that work for you?
So I'm planning on going to University of Illinois Chicago for nursing.
Oh, great.
And that also, since it's in Chicago, that's a big hockey town, they have at least 2 solid sled hockey teams there.
Okay.
It's not through the college. There's no sled hockey in college yet.
Okay.
They're working on it in Arizona. I know that. It's
Okay.
2024, but that would be a little too late for me. But yeah, Chicago gives me a lot of opportunities to play.
Okay.
And go to school.
Shocked that it's Illinois.
Well, they're
just shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
brainwashing
a shocker
going on
right
there.
there. I mean,
No
that's
kidding.
Yeah, I think
No
the dad
kidding.
had something to do with that one.
Jeez, the old Illini.
Yeah.
So, not that Illini, just the state.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to study?
Nursing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I've always wanted to work in the medical field, so.
So
How about
and
that?
this is the other thing too, is that I think from what your dad was telling me that if you went to Illinois, you had to go to Illinois Chicago for your nursing program. Is that correct, or is that something like that?
Through the nursing classes would be through UIC.
Yeah.
But I could go to
Illinois.
Champaign. I could go there.
Yeah.
But I liked the Chicago campus better.
That's
I
awesome.
explored both. So.
Good.
But Chicago was I loved it.
Yeah, that is absolutely too cool.
Good for you.
So what is your favorite memory of playing sled hockey? What is it? Is it the start, or is it right now? What's your favorite memory?
Winning the gold was by far the gold.
Of course.
And beating Canada, nothing better.
Did you hear any? Did you hear any USA chants?
Oh my gosh, it was nonstop.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you trash talking at all, or no?
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. It was getting a little chippy out there.
Chippy,
And
she says.
I can't even imagine her talking back at all. Cannot imagine it. No way.
Not me.
That's awesome. That's
Not
awesome,
Jamie Benassi. Not talking back.
Yeah, our bench was crazy.
I bet.
We were singing songs. We got in trouble for that. Our coaches were like, guys, seriously.
Having fun.
Yeah, but they put a camera on our bench, so every time it would turn red, we'd all start
That's awesome.
and it was
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
Well, before we wrap it up, there's one more thing that we talked about right before we went on air, was that we just heard that you are going to head to Santa Barbara, right? What is that? Is that for practice, trials? What is that for?
It's a training camp, so that's what the women's team does. We get together, we do a training camp. It's usually 3 to 4 days of hockey, add a few travel days in there. But we just go anywhere around the U.S. Hopefully, we'll be leaving the country at some point this next season, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, March we head out to Santa Barbara just for a couple days.
Out of school again?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's big.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So
That's
our training
awesome.
camps, we just do the drills. We just practice together. I'm hoping we get to scrimmage at some point, but I don't know if that.
I mean, if you did scrimmage, is that scrimmaging against just your all the girls on a team, or would you probably try to maybe see if you'd play somebody else, like another country, or how would that go? Do you know?
Typically, so we went to a camp in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they have their own sled hockey team there, like a club team. So we just got them together and we played against them. So we try to find people in the area that are part of sled hockey. Playing other countries at a training camp would probably be too much, but I would love that. So.
What is the age frame on the USA team?
15 to 40, I believe would be the range.
So you're obviously one of the younger ones.
Yes.
Wow. Are you the youngest?
No, the youngest. She was 14 when she made it. She was considered an alternate, and then she went in one of the games, scored a hat trick. So I'm pretty sure
she made it after that.
I'm pretty sure the alternate thing is gone. Yeah. She's on the team.
So is it you two are the two youngest? Or no? Is there another one?
Three. I want to say there's three others that are my age.
Wow. Wow. So you guys could be together for a while then.
Yeah. That's what
just take us off.
So exciting. Yeah. So we'll be
take
at
over
the top
world.
of our game in 2030. So
that is
good for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good
Jamie, I tell you what, it's been awesome to finally get to a game and to watch it and just to see it. And if anybody's not so just let anybody out there know, like, how they can go watch either the Icebreakers or how they can follow you on USA Hockey.
You can just keep up on social media. There's a Cincinnati Icebreakers Instagram account, Facebook. USA Hockey sometimes posts us. Usually if it has to, like, we have something going on, if they're posting about it. I'm on Instagram, Jamie Benassi, and kind of keep updates.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's kind of it that I would think.
No, that's really cool. And I mean, and anybody out there that's watching right now that, in the Forest Hills district, Anderson, Turpin, McNick, any of that, this is kind of a cool thing for you and I, Steve.
Yeah.
That we bring Tom's daughter, Jamie, and Allison's, daughter that, we've known her for a long time, but just the accomplishments that is amazing. And you really need to try to come out and watch this. I mean, you would be amazed.
I would love to.
I mean, you'd be amazed.
And I also heard you got honored at a pep rally.
Oh, yeah. That was chaotic.
Love it.
Yeah, that was a shock right there.
Yeah.
You weren't ready for it?
No, I was just hanging out with my friends.
Just give the old wave.
I know, and then my principal starts talking, and I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. Here we go.
So that was like after I'd made the team. That was the start of junior year.
Well, I'm glad they did that. Yeah. It's great to honor you.
Very well recognized. I mean, that was awesome. Again, it was great watching you play, and we appreciate. I know you're busy with everything that's going on. I know the schoolwork has got a lot going on with that. Your dad was stellar at doing the homework back in the day. So so I know that you're part of that. As we were. Right?
I have no comment.
no comment. Well, Jamie, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
that was awesome. So again, everybody out there, if you're watching, take a look at Jamie Benassi on USA Hockey or Icebreakers, and we'll try to, as our shows are going along, provide updates. So it was, again, awesome catching up. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So for the coach, Steve Ellis, Dingo, Dan Albers, we'll catch you guys next week on This Week in Anderson. Have a great night, everybody.